Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru going to be breaking down my top plays and fades for the 2021 Houston Open. And this if you missed the preview show, I just really want to quickly just give you some quick notes. This tournament is not being played at the Golf Club of Houston, where it's been held for like the past 10 years. I think they missed a year. I think it was 2018. But in short, it is played at the Memorial Golf Course, which is a public course in Houston. The redesigned Tom Doak with a little bit of insights and assistance from Mr. Brooks Koepka. We're looking at a par 72, 7,300 plus yards. What is unique or interesting there is 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s. I believe on the first hole they actually was a par 4, pretty long, and for some reason they turned that into a par 5, which I would think they would do that opposite, but that's from my understanding. You got Bermuda roughs, you got Bermuda fairways, and if you are in the Houston, Texas area, and for some reason want to play a PGA Tour course for $38 a week or for a round, that's what the price is during the week. $28 for Twilight. So I think that's a pretty amazing offer that you get to go play that kind of course. From TV coverage, of course, Golf Channel, and it will be on PGA Live. And your past winter is Mr. Lonto Griffin, who is coming in pretty pricey this time. So we'll talk a little more about that as we move along. And then lastly, in the previous show, I just talked about, typically when you get to the Texas swing, there are certain guys in Texas that are local or collegiates that for whatever reason, they typically play well here. Usually it's because they're used to the winds. From everything I've seen, the winds are going to be blowing between 4 to 6 knots Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it does not look like wind is going to be an issue, and I think scores are going to be very low. There's not a lot of trouble if you are pounding the driver all over the place. It looks like you can still get up and down. Now, from my understanding, the rough is up, and so that could cause some issues. But again, we saw at the U.S. Open that a lot of these guys, and not all of these guys, but if you have the power, it's not going to affect you as much. And then just some guys are notable: Scheffler, Vegas, Fratelli, Reed, of course, Jordan Spieth, and then you got Beau Hossler. Either all played at University of Texas or at a university there, or also live in the area and know the courses. Not saying this course, but know the courses pretty well around there. So I created a model, and this is the part where we look at what is the model saying. What we're looking for is correlation. And, what I saw was important is, driving distance, but fairways gained. I like that combination than regular and just taking off the tee. It doesn't tell you everything. Weighted that pretty heavily, of course, because of the par 5 scoring. Weighted that pretty heavily. I also went through and looked at the different par 3s at this course and kind of weighted both the 2 major ones, 225. They have some long par 3s, and then the 175 to 200. Again, the par 4s, weighted those. And of course, approach is always very key. And putting, the one thing that was a little unique around the green, because they removed a lot of the sand traps. And from my understandings, they try to set this course up a bit to prepare for the Masters. So you have really tight mown around the green, so very tight lies, but you also have some kind of the deeper grass bunkers around. And then tee to green total is a big stat. And then, of course, because of the par 5s, 5 of them, eagles is going to be important. So that was kind of the key areas that I looked at on these models. And then I'll just kind of walk through the different. And then, again, what I'm pulling out is just correlation. And the names that are highlighted are just that kept showing up on the different models that I ran. And the Brian Harmon is in orange because I just found it unique in some of these that he was popping up. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So, again, this is looking at the past 36 rounds. And then, of course, pop up the rank 1 to 20. And these are the guys that came up in pricing. So that was kind of the first thing I looked at is just, and this is what I always do, no filters. Just let's look at recent form with the key stats that I want to look at. And the next was, okay, now let's apply the filters that we know about this course that they're playing. So Bermuda greens, par 72, between 72 and 7,400 yards. That was the main filters. I messed with wind on and off, but once I saw wind was not going to be a factor, I just removed that. And then again, this was looking at the last 36 rounds. So as you can see over to this area, you're going to see guys that have less rounds than 36. So sometimes you got to kind of keep an eye on that because you're not getting as much data points. Like they could have just played their 4 rounds and just shot amazing the one time, and that could really skew. But most of these guys all have over 20 rounds plus, so I feel pretty good about that. So for Terrell Hatton, so again, like I said, his numbers could be skewed. But again, the names that popped up, Charlie Hoffman, which was into Corey Connors, who won the Valero, and we'll talk about that. But again, some of the same names that showed up here. And like I said, you have different guys that popped because, again, this is looking at about 6 or 7 courses that meet that criteria, and some of them are courses in Texas. Even the Golf Club of Houston is actually not a bad comp course. It plays around 7,400 yards. It is a par 72, and it is on Bermuda. And it is in Texas. So, it's not a bad. You can go off some history of what is translated in the past. My belief is which was known as the Shell Houston Open. So when you're looking for it, if you just pull up the Houston Open, you might not get all the data you're looking for. You got to type in Shell Houston Open. And then a key thing is I really believe it's going to be pretty low scores here. So what I want to look at is how low can you go? And this is actually the areas I look at when I'm doing showdown. So if I just want to purely just look at scoring, who's the guys that get the most birdie ops, eagles, better birdies gained, bogey avoidance, DK points. I also had the par 5s in there, the par 3s, and putting. So these were the key areas that I think that are going to be important for guys to go low. And again, you're going to see some of the same names between Scheffler, Siwoo, Henley, Harmon, Gooch, just kept popping up. And there's some other guys too. I mean, I'm not going to highlight and talk about the Dustin Johnsons and the Tony Finau's because we all know that those guys, should do well. I'm trying to find the guys that are mid to lower range in this correlation that are popping up to round out our picks. I mean, you're going to play Tony, you're going to play DJ. So yeah. And then lastly, par 5 scoring leaders. Again, I think the par 5 is going to be crucial. So what this does is look at, just from a par 5 scoring and ranks the best and ranks them 1 down to 20. And then it just shows, 0 to 500, on the different lengths of par 5s. And as you can see, 650 or plus, when you see that 88, it means there's just no data. They never, played a par 5 that was 650 or plus, at least over the last 36 rounds. I should quantify that. And what was really interesting was Brian Harmon came up. Typically, when you think of par 5 scoring, I would not think of Brian Harmon, right? Not very long off the tee, accurate, awesome around the green, not a bad putter. But that was intriguing to me that he came up. Then Ali Schneider-Jans, it's a little hard to trust that because they're taking Ali's. Ali just played, of course, here recently at the. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name. I keep wanting to say Corrales, but it wasn't Corrales. It was the Bermuda Championship. Took me a moment. A little brain fart there. And so Ali's data is going back to like 2017. So I don't really take that into, and Ali doesn't hit the ball that far. He's a talented player. Like I said, I used him quite a bit in showdown in the past. Was not on him for the Bermuda. Just haven't seen him for so long. It was very hard to kind of figure out, was this like, his brother that came out, Luke Schneider-Jans, I believe that I think shot like 15 over or something. So anyways, so that's just to give you an idea of some of the players that are par 5 scoring leaders. And again, Hoffman popped up, and we'll talk about him because he kind of just destroyed me last weekend at the Bermuda. And then just lastly, I brought this up because not so much that here's the past winners that are in the Texas swing, but I also, whenever all these guys that I'm going to advise or say, hey, who I'm going with, my top plays, I also reference not just the history of the Houston Open or the Shell Houston Open, but these are the main tournaments that are played every year in Texas. So, of course, you got Corey Connors, who won his first win at Valero. Just putted lights out for Corey. I mean, Corey's a great ball striker. Just the putter is just his nemesis, like a lot of the guys, like a Luke List and so on and so forth. Sung Kang, who won the AT&T Byron Nelson last year. He's actually, got a ton of talent. The guy just doesn't, just kind of, he'll pop up and then just kind of goes away. So, yeah. And then, of course, you got Daniel Berger, who the first tournament after the COVID, shutdown, won the Charles Schwab, and then you've got Mr. Kisner over there, who is not in the field. Berger and Kisner are not in the field. The other three guys who won the Dell match play. That was, it seems like forever ago, but it wasn't played recently because of the COVID. And then, of course, you got Lanto in the middle who won, but again at the Golf Club of Houston. All right, so let's get into this. So my top 5 studs that I'm going with this week is, I think, my favorite, and I've been on Russell, and he it's hard not to play him. So out of all the guys that are here, I'm a little worried, and I can go into different, but with the very expensive price guys, the DJs, specifically DJ and Tony, just because they haven't played in a while, and also because, it's that fine line between, even like a Brooks Koepka, are you here to just, get your swing loose and see where you're at? If you look at like Scotty Scheffler, when he had I don't know, it was over probably almost 2 months. So it was like since the U.S. Open. So it wasn't 2 months, but it was a break for him. And when he came out, and of course he had the COVID thing. So you had DJ who went through the COVID, positive test. You had Finau who went through it, and you had Scheffler who went through it. And yeah, so because he didn't even get to play in the U.S. Open. And all those guys, well, at least Scheffler, I'm basing it off that. When he came out, he was rusty. And so I don't know if DJ, he actually said he was seeing symptoms, like he actually felt symptoms. I don't know what that means. So what I'm getting to is, did he actually get out and play and practice? And so long story short is, it's not that I don't have him in here. I'm just saying I'm a little more leery. But Russell Henley, if you look at his past history, in Texas, period, it's ridiculous. And then also, if you look at just recent form, the guy's just in fuego. And so if the putter goes, which it can just get super hot, this guy, he should win a lot more tournaments than he already has. So anyways, Dustin Johnson, what do we need to say? I just kind of talked about him. But it's hard not to play DJ, and really that's between DJ or Finau. And if you actually take the top 5 guys that are like 10K and above, if you run all their rounds and you run them head to head, which I did do this, the top 2 actually come out, DJ and Matsuyama, funny enough, when they are in the same tournaments, playing the same amount of rounds. If you do everybody else head to head, it's DJ and Matsuyama who's got the most wins from a tournament and rounds versus each other. Scotty Scheffler, we talked about him. I think a lot of my builds will probably be Russell Henley, Scheffler is my top 2. And I'll mix in other guys, but I'm just saying, and then kind of work from there. I like both of those guys as kind of my A-B captains. And again, Scheffler, local, his game's just been getting better. I mentioned Sanderson Farms where, he had a T37. He missed a cut at Shriners. I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't think, again, if you didn't shoot 7 under, you missed the cut. So I don't really hold that too much worried about that. But I like Scotty here. Hideki, we just talked about as in, just a pure ball striking genius, and a little bit about his ownership too. With Hideki, we also, all these guys, as I mentioned, if you take their past history in Texas, they've all had to have a decent history, or I would not have put them in here. I'm not showing you just, what they've done at the Shell or the Houston Open, because it's about as relative as what have they done at Valero or Charles Schwab or the Byron Nelson, as far as I'm concerned, because it's Texas, it's different courses, and it's not the same as where they're going. So, and then Victor Hovland. So for the upper rank guys, I like Vic, even though he's an Oklahoma guy, but it's very similar conditions that you golf in. He's been playing well. And again, what little history he does have in Texas was worth it. So now let's get to the mid range. Emiliano Grillo, I think again, his game and if you pull his past history, again at the different Texas events, very solid. So I like Emiliano. I think his game, everything's awesome. It's just what can he do with the putter? Oh yeah, on that note, and I might have mentioned this or not, but the greens here are a little slower than average. So, I mean, they're going to be around 12 on the stemp meter. I mentioned that in my previous show, but I'm just letting you know, and my belief is, this is my own belief, if guys are typically a bad putter, I on super fast greens, I feel like they have a little better shot when they get on slower greens. I think their mistakes are not as much. They can be a little more aggressive with their lines, stroke the ball a little harder. So whenever they go to, even at the previous where they were running like temp on the stump at Bermuda, I felt like, but I kind of, it didn't really work out because Brian Gay actually won, and he's one of the better putters on tour, and same with Dave McCarthy. But I'm just saying that I think the advantage definitely on slower greens, I think helps the crappier putter. We'll just put it that way. James Hahn, he might be a bit chalky, but I think the guy he's so solid, and for the price for 8K, doing everything well. You see his stats there. And then he's missed the cut at workday, but since then he's top 10 his last 3 tournaments. So, I got to go ahead and put him in there. Siwoo Kim, which he's so volatile on and off, but I looked at his past history in Texas and also what he's been doing. He's been playing well. And again, I think for the price, it's not a bad value. We talked about Brian Harman. He just kept popping up all over the model. Good history in Texas and great putter. And all around, I think, even though when you think 5 par 5s, you're thinking bombers and, to take advantage of that. But as I showed you, Brian Harman is the top in par 5 scoring in this field. So I just think that it kind of correlates there. And then Lee Westwood, who it's not someone that I typically would go to, but he's been playing really well. And for less than 8K, I think his ownership will be a little lower. He's been doing well over in Europe. And then if you could go do, you do your own analysis, but I did analysis of what his past history has been in Texas, and it's solid. Again, at all those different tournaments I kind of mentioned. So that's why I am playing. You can see in those last 24 rounds, his shot gain total just working its way up too. So again, I'm not a typical Lee Westwood fan, but yeah, I'm putting him in. All right, then my value plays. These are guys that are 7,000 or a little more than that. That I think again. So this is kind of going. I also Luke's history in Texas looks pretty good, and also I'm going with my theory of slower greens are going to allow him to hopefully make a few more putts. As you see at Bermuda, it did not work out so much that way. But actually, funny enough, for him, Bermuda grass is his best putting surface. Now, when I say that, I don't even remember if it was positive, but it's not crazy negative for him for shots gained. So, I think Luke's live he's just a great ball striker, great off the tee. And with these par 5s, worst case, he gets you, he makes the cut and gets you some nice points. So I'm going to be playing some Luke. Bo Hosler, not that I think he's honestly that great of a player. I think he does some things very well. He's awesome around the green, as you can see. But again, go look at his record in the Texas area, and whatever it is, man, the guy steps up. And also his ownership right now is a little lower. And, he's made 5 straight cuts that he's played in. Like I said, nothing glaring. I don't see like the teams. I don't see what I always look for is the guys that are just getting in under 20 for a couple consistent tournaments in a row. The guys that usually just pop and all of a sudden win. But I like Bo. Sam Burns, amazing putter on Bermuda. I think he's one of the, I don't know, I'll probably bet him outright. I haven't even seen his odds, but as you can see, his projected ownership's pretty high already. But I think he's a great play here. And also you can look at his past history in Texas was pretty solid. Taylor Gooch, I always look at these guys. They almost are like doppelganger for me. Not that they look exactly like, but just their size, their height, their game. Yeah, they always just kind of blend in as one player to me. Gooch, you can see his, his game has been kind of up and down. I mean, he had that 5th place at the CJ Cup. But around the green, I think that's going to be key around here, the putting. Yeah, and he's not bad off the tee distance-wise. And again, his record in Texas was pretty solid. And then I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going back to Charlie Hoffman. I have no idea what happened in Bermuda. But I'm 2 points. One is I know his game. Also, you can go look at his history records at Texas from the different tournaments are solid. The guy's got a solid game. Like I said, now you could look and go, look, he missed the cut at Shriners, but it wasn't huge. Again, it was just again and shoot 700 to make it. Bermuda though, he played terrible, and I just don't know. He was already over. I think he was 3 or 4 over on Thursday, and then literally like shot like 10 over on Friday. So he was going out in a blaze of glory. But I like Hoffman, even and I think it's whenever guys like that had a bad tournament, I think you're going to get some leverage on the field. So I'm going to go back to the well. I might pay for it, and I mean I'm glutton for punishment, but I'm going to go ahead back to the well. And then real quick, my fades. Shank, I looked. He's got some hits and some misses in Texas, and I think he's got like 11 straight no miss cuts. But you can already see his ownership's high. This is more of a leverage. I think so many people are going to. It's just, kind of a free square, and I think this could just possibly be the time that he finally misses a cut. And I'm not saying don't play him, to be honest. I'm just fading him personally from a leverage play. Mark Hubbard, the reason why he's in here, he had a second place here last year. And I think just a lot of people are going to play him because of that. His game, though, has been kind of trash. And so I'm not going to jump on he had a second place finish here last year. So, at the Houston Open, not at this course. Snedeker, I put him in here because some people on other shows have brought him up as possible play. Tennessee guy. At one time, he might have been kind of live here, but his putter is not where it was. His game, he's just all over the map. Now, he is sporadic off the tee, so maybe he doesn't get penalized as much, but I just see nothing in his game, even though for the price and the projected ownership that is shown here, I can't play him. And I'm going to not go ride the Wyndham Clark train, even though to some degrees, you can make a lot of arguments on why you'd want to play Wyndham, but a little higher in salary. I think ownership's going to be high. I'm not big on playing a guy that either won the tournament before or, just came in second. Also, Wyndham Clark is very volatile. And then I've heard, or was that McCarthy? Again, I get Clark and McCarthy, kind of messed up. Even, they're not exactly, but in my brain, they just are kind of the same player. So that they had a new swing change. But I think that was McCarthy that was working with a new swing instructor. And then lastly, Brooks Koepka. I thought about this quite a bit because, he should have better knowledge than anyone about the course, of course, assisting there. But I just feel like Brooks' attitude and his physical, what's going on physically, I do believe it's going to be a bit, again, more of a warm-up for him. Now, can he go out and have a couple, crazy days, maybe a showdown play? He might be good. But just for the price, for 10-6, I can't do it. I think his mind is going to be working on different shots for the Masters and not so much concerned about winning this. And you can make arguments either way, but that's my stance. I am going to be fading Koepka. And I'm a Koepka fan. I try to play him whenever I can. And then lastly, I haven't done this before, but I just thought I'd put in here, just an example build using the guys that I picked, because nothing would be worse is I pick a bunch of people, then you're like, I mean, technically you should always be able to fill it, but just to give you an idea of kind of, and I haven't entered this, but this is for the 350K resurgence, 100K total first prize of what I was kind of talking about, where a lot of my builds I think is going to be kind of a Scheffler Henley, and then my middle tier would be kind of a Harman Westwood, and then Burns List. And why I'm also showing this is that I think this week is better to not go studs and duds. I kind of feel like a balanced build is going to be the way to go. And I think there's value down there. You've got, I was looking at Scott Piercy even. I think he's a pretty good value play at, I think he's around 7,000 too. So I didn't put him on there, but he was just someone else I was also looking at. So anyways, just an example. You can use the lineup. Feel free to. Like I said, I haven't entered it, but it's just kind of an idea of what I'm going to be going with. And then lastly, if you're getting value, and I appreciate any feedback and comments, and actually for the Masters, I'm going to do a promo. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do for you guys, but anybody that, likes, shares a comment, and probably I'm going to do like kind of the first 5 people I'm going to pay for their send you a free entry into the $20 Masters tournament. So I'm going to work that out, and I'll get that all finalized for the Masters show. But yeah, please like and share if you like what you're seeing. Subscribe, pass it along to anyone else that might be interested. And I greatly appreciate you spending a few moments with me. And then I just got this quick video here. I just thought it was interesting. It's the commercial that Golf Channel is doing for the Houston Open. And it's kind of funny if you watch it. They are also touting that they're going to the Golf Club of Houston. So that's it. You guys have a great Houston Open. I will be releasing the hidden gems tomorrow and ownership projections. So grab that. And that's a quick show, usually 5-10 minutes. Talk to you guys later. All the best.
A strong field heads to Houston for one final tune-up before the Masters. The Houston Open, Thursday, 1 Eastern.